What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome back to another video. I hope everybody's doing well and has had a good weekend. And yeah, before I start this video, I do want to remind you to go and join the mailing list. The link is in the description. I have a lot of juicy content and all sorts of exclusives that will be available through the mailing list, so make sure to join that. And yeah, let's start with the news. As you can see, I've got all the high impact news for the week. We have FOMC minutes on Wednesday, PMI on Thursday, with jobless claims, and then Friday we also have some high impact news. So I'm looking for most of the expansion of the week to be happening Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'd like to see a classic week. I always want to see a classic week, but as in creating the high on Monday, Tuesday, and then the low on Thursday. And yeah, another thing I want to bring our attention to as well is sentiment. Now, ICT has said in multiple live streams and such that he likes to look at what the majority consumers, retail, think about the market. You can see here with Euro USD and GBP USD that most of the community is short on Euro USD and GBP. If you continue watching this video, you'll see that I am actually bullish on both of those. So it's interesting because we can use that as almost like a confluence in the weirdest way to help us with our bias, because we can see that most of retail are likely to be wrong, and therefore if it's opposing our views, that can help us. So I'll speak more on that later, but let's now jump straight into the charts. So starting with dollar, as you can see on the monthly, I'm going to mark out all the premium and discount PD arrays I have my eye set on and where I want to see price continue to work its way. Now you can see we are in the middle of May now. Well, just past the middle. We are coming to an end soon, but yeah, let's get a few things marked out. Firstly, the fact that we're coming off of this monthly bearish order block, so let's just get that typed out. Sorry for the noise. Make that black. And then in terms of where price is heading to, there's a few places I'm looking at. Mainly, I'm looking at this bullish order block as a target for price, so I'm going to make that blue and type bullish monthly order block, like so. And then there is also an implied fair value gap right here, but I'm not going to draw that out on this time frame. On the lower time frames, there are some more. So that means I'm now looking for April's low to be targeted for sell side liquidity, and then obviously start to see us work into this big wick range. What you'll also find is that the midpoint of this wick lines up with that monthly bullish order block, the consequent encroachment. So that's another reason I want to see price draw down towards that as we continue through the month of May. So let's now go to the weekly, and we're going to do exactly the same thing, marking all premium PD arrays and then all discount PD arrays as well. So if you watched last week's video, my weekly review, you know that I wanted to see a down close week. That's what we got. We traded up slightly into the range of the previous week's wick, and now moving into this week I want to see the same thing. So I do want to see another down close week, meaning that I want to see a wick higher to an extent, and then I want to see us expand lower, taking out last week's low and potentially moving towards this fair value gap right here. So this is what I have my eyes set on for the new week. We'll take out the middle line and we can write in weekly fair value gap. And then the highest I'm looking for price to trade, I am also looking at this wick. Now remember, wicks are gaps too, so that means we should treat them as such, meaning that I'm looking at the consequent encroachment. I'm going to drag that right through. We'll make it red and dashed, and this should now provide resistance. So if say Monday or Tuesday does create a high and we trade up to this level, I'd expect it to provide resistance to then send price lower and start working our way to towards these lows. So let's just get that written out as well as weekly consequent encroachment. So we see that E, and then we also want to get this low, because this is a weekly low, so it's going to be quite a significant low for south side liquidity. We'll move this over here, and then we also have these lows as well. So now we have a few things on both monthly and weekly to key off. Let's now head down to the daily, and this is going to be the last time frame I use for us to be framing price. So you can see we have a large daily wick from Friday's trading. I will be looking at the midpoint of that as well. I doubt it's going to provide the resistance that, you know, the weekly consequent encroachment would, but it's still significant, because if we do turn around at that point, that will help us frame shorts on dollar with longs on the pairs, obviously, and then that can help us work our way towards this sell side liquidity. So definitely watching this daily consequent encroachment as well. Put that in the center. But like I said, if we are going to see some kind of high get made, there is still a gap up here. So there's potential for price to want to trade into that. So that's just something to keep in mind. After Monday trades, we'll have a much better idea. But generally speaking, I want to see these PD arrays provide resistance. So I'm going to be watching this one first. If this gets traded through, then I'm watching this fair value gap to provide resistance. So that's what I'm looking for the high. And then obviously we have these lows here and here that I'm looking at for price to trade to. So that's all I'm going to do on dollar. We're going to keep it pretty simple. But overall, I'd like to see a classic week in terms of creating the high early on and then moving lower for the rest of the week, running into south side liquidity here and here. Hope that all makes sense. Let's now head over to GBP USD. We are going to start on the monthly here as well, just so we can see where price is coming from and where it's going to. So you can see we're trading off a fair value gap. You can see our volume respected that and we're starting to trade aggressively higher. And also last week we did actually take out the previous month's high. So that means that this down close candle right here is now a bullish order block. So we should treat it as one, meaning that we can mark out the opening and write monthly bullish order block. And then in terms of targets, we have this beautiful swing high up here, this large wick as well, midpoint of that. But before we get to those levels, we do still have the midpoint of this wick and the midpoint of this wick to get to first. So let's just get that drawn out like so, and that's going to be a monthly consequent encroachment. And remember, once price trades through that, we can use that to provide support to then reach our next level, which will be the buy stops above this monthly high. I am also as well, because again, wicks are gaps too. We should treat them as such. We're going to look at the midpoint of this, and I'd like to think that this midpoint will provide support for price moving into the new week to help use it to key off to get to our next levels. So let's make this black as well, make it dashed, and we can write monthly consequent encroachment as well. So now we have two levels on the discount and two levels in the premium that I'd like to see price react off to help us frame a directional bias. Cool. So now let's drop down to the weekly, and you'll see how we've closed above that midpoint from the monthly, meaning again, if we create some kind of low, I'm watching this level very closely to potentially form some long in opportunities. As price falls down into that, I'll be expecting dollar to be trading up into its premium PD arrays, which, as we know, on the weekly, it's going to be that consequent encroachment and this daily consequent encroachment. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be watching on GBP. And then you can see we do have a bullish order block right here. Like I said, ideally we do stay above these lows. Like, I don't want to see these lows get violated purely because I want to see us continue to tread on higher. So Monday is going to be very interesting. And like I said, I'm looking to be turning at this order block if possible. So let's get that order block marked out as well, just because we may get a nice reaction at it. But like I said, because since we're so close to it already at the beginning of the week, it doesn't really leave much room for us to create a secondary low, if that makes sense. So we're just going to see how Monday trades. But that's what I'm going to be watching. And that's a daily bullish order block. So that's cool. Go to the 4 hour, just take a quick look. You'll see that we have a little mitigation here. Low, high, higher, low, and we've expanded higher now. So that's why I'm watching this range to see, does it provide support for continuation higher. So definitely pay close attention to that. But again, after Monday, we'll have a much clearer idea of direction. Definitely in the long term, in moving over the next few weeks, I do want to see this monthly high get traded to. But this week specifically, I'm watching for this monthly consequent encroachment to get traded to, with potential to reach for these highs as well. So let's finish off on Euro USD. This is quite a quick video for a weekly review. And you can see how we had a large week last week, of course, ripping out these highs. And now I'm looking at consequent encroachment of this wick and these highs as a potential reach for liquidity. So let's get those marked out. red and dashed. So that's weekly consequent encroachment. And then we also have this rejection block level as well. In fact, we should start on the monthly. Let's go to the monthly real quick, just to see where we're coming off. So we're coming from this low right here, trading higher. This is now a bullish order block, but I doubt price is going to need to return all the way back down there now that we're taking out this high. Price should be able to comfortably continue on a higher. So I'm not too concerned about this bullish order block being used right now. I'm just looking to see, can we keep trading up through this large wicks range. And you can see we just hit the 50% level, consequent encroachment off that. Once we get above that, this wick, that level here will then provide support for the next level. So I'll talk more on that once we do trade above it. That might be tomorrow, that might be Tuesday, I'm not sure. But once we are above it and we're on a closing basis, we can start looking at this consequent encroachment as support for price to carry on rallying higher. Let's now go down to the daily. We have a similar swing low that we saw on GBP. Again, preferably this fair value gap gets left open. And the reason for that is because it shows a level of bullishness in price that it wants to trade higher. So ideally, this doesn't get traded to the same way I'm watching dollar closely with this fair value gap. Ideally, it just gets left open. So there are times that we don't always want to see fair value gaps get filled. There's times we want to see them get left open because it gives us, it acts as like a signature in price to say, okay, we want to continue on higher. But we can look at this long wick from Friday, similar to GBP. And what we're looking at, consequent encroachment, of course. There's a lot of consequent encroachment to be keying off this week, guys. So we'll see if that gets traded to. Daily, consequent encroachment. And then obviously we have this high, and that's our weekly consequent encroachment level right here. Lined up nicely with a nice daily rejection block. I'm not going to bother mark that out, and then obviously we have that weekly rejection block level up there. So yeah, overall I'm just looking for higher prices for the week, with the low preferably getting made at this level to provide support. So let's go to the 4 hour real quick, and you'll see there's a massive fair value gap and a bullish order block right here. So again, if we're going to create some kind of low on Monday or Tuesday, ideally it will be in this range, and then price will be permitted to continue on higher. So I hope that all makes sense, guys. I hope you found this insightful. Don't forget to drop a like, comment, subscribe, and join the mailing list, because like I said, I've got lots of juicy content coming from June. I'll be sending out some emails, and yeah, I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace.